Hey, listen. Here's what I think. You won't believe this. But avoidants don't pull away because they're confused. They pull away because they're testing you way before you even notice anything. And no, it's not the cute kind of test. It's the kind where they sit back, get super quiet, and basically watch you like a hawk. Without saying a single word. I know, weird, right? But let me break it down in the simplest way. So, the silent test happens at that exact moment when they think, wait, this person is getting too close. Can I trust them, or are they dangerous for my peace? And dangerous doesn't mean you're toxic. Dangerous means you make them feel things more than they're comfortable with. Can you imagine that? You're just being normal, and suddenly your existence is a threat. Wild, but that's how avoidants operate. They're wired to protect themselves the second emotions start feeling real. It's like their brain whispers. Retreat now before you get attached and die emotionally. They don't think, they react. And this silent reaction? It's the whole test. They're basically watching. Do you chase them? Do you get angry? Do you panic? Do you self-destruct? Do you stay calm even when they act weird? Because in their mind, your reaction tells them everything about your long-term potential. Stupid. Maybe, but logical to them? Absolutely. Here's the funny part, though. You know, when someone you like suddenly becomes a little distant, and your brain starts overthinking? Yeah, avoidants count on that moment. They're like, let me see. If I pull back just a little, will they explode? Will they cling? Will they guilt trip me? Or will they just chill? It's like they're waiting for you to fail a test you didn't even know you were taking, and the messed up part? They don't tell you anything. They won't say, hey, I'm scared, or I'm overwhelmed, or I need a second to breathe. Nope, they just go silent. Switch off, disappear into their head. And if you ask them what's wrong, you get the classic, I'm fine, just that. One useless sentence, you know what that means? It means I'm trying to figure out if you're safe or if I should shut you out before you hurt me. Avoidants don't wait for betrayal. They pre-betray themselves before anyone else gets the chance, and that silent moment, that pause, that sudden coldness, that's exactly when they decide whether to let you in or block you emotionally forever. Here's the part that hits the hardest. You don't even realize the test is happening until it's already over. You think it's just distance, but for them, it's a full psychological evaluation of your emotional behavior. Crazy stuff, so tell me, what do you think so far? Ever dealt with someone who suddenly became emotionally undercover without warning? How the silent test actually works? Alright, so let's dig deeper. Here's what I think, and you're not gonna believe how sneaky this chapter is. Avoidants don't just pull back randomly. There's a pattern to it, a whole system. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it again. So, picture this. Everything is going fine. You're talking, laughing, connecting. They're opening up slowly, like a stubborn door that finally moves. Then suddenly, boom, silence. No explanation. No fight. No warning. And you sit there thinking, what did I say? What did I do? But here's the truth. It wasn't anything you did. It's what they felt. Avoidants don't react to your actions. They react to their own emotions. The moment they feel too comfortable, too understood, too attached, too exposed, too hopeful, their brain hits panic mode, and this panic creates the silent test. Let me break down what that test looks like in real time. 1. They reduce communication. Not fully disappear, just enough to make you notice something's off. They want to see your instinctive reaction. Do you chase? Do you blow up their phone? Do you act needy? Because if you do, they translate it as, this person will drown me emotionally. Abort mission. Yeah, brutal. 2. They change their tone. Suddenly their replies turn short, dry, mechanical. You'll feel the shift like a temperature drop. And guess what? They're watching to see if you get insecure. Avoidants hate intensity, even positive intensity. If you get upset too quickly, they label you as unstable. I know, it sounds unfair. But we're not here to sugarcoat, just to understand. 3. They stop initiating. Not because they don't care, but because they want you to show your default setting. If your default is panic, they run. If your default is pressure, they freeze. If your default is calm, they secretly relax. They don't tell you this, obviously. They just test it in silence. 4. They observe your emotional boundaries. This one is the most important. Avoidants want closeness, but they don't want closeness to control them. So if you start acting like their emotions are your property, even a tiny bit, they'll pull so far back you'll need binoculars to find them again. Their silent test is basically asking, can this person handle me without owning me? That's the real question. 5. They check if you can stay steady when they get weird. Look, avoidants know they're weird when they get anxious. They know they switch personalities like a bad Wi-Fi connection. So the test is simple. If they act distant and you stay respectful but present, they mark you as safe. If you freak out, they mark you as dangerous. The irony? They don't tell you N why of this. You're just supposed to pass a test that no one taught you. Can you imagine that? Here's the part people never understand. They're not testing you to punish you. They're testing you because they're terrified. They've been burned before, used before, overwhelmed before, pulled into emotional storms they didn't want. So now, every time they like someone, their brain goes, do I need to hide? And that's when the silent test starts. The exact moment they decide you're dangerous, all right, now we're getting into the part nobody talks about. Here's what I think. This is the moment avoidants flip the switch. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly. And you won't believe how small the trigger can be. So remember how the silent test is basically them watching you from the shadows? Yeah, this is where they judge you, not by what you say, but by what you do when they pull back. And trust me, it's the reaction that decides everything. Let me break down the exact moment they mentally go, nope, this person is dangerous for me. 1. When you react with emotional pressure, this is the biggest one. If they pull back a little, and you jump in with, why are you acting weird? What happened? Are you losing interest? Talk to me right now. Their brain immediately screams, too much, too fast, too loud. To them, pressure equals danger. Even if your intention was connection. Yeah, it's unfair. But we're not here to sugarcoat, we're here to understand the trigger. 2. When you take their distance personally, avoidants aren't distancing from you. They're distancing into themselves. But if you react like, so you don't care? You're ignoring me now? Wow, you changed. You've accidentally stepped into their danger zone. Because avoidants fear becoming the villain, the disappointment, the emotional caretaker, the one who hurts someone, and the moment you imply they hurt you, they panic. Instant danger stamp. 3. When you make them responsible for your emotions, you won't believe how fast this makes them run. Even a simple line like, you made me feel this way. I was waiting for you. I can't focus because of you. To them, this means, oh no, now I'm in charge of this person's emotional stability. And that terrifies them more than commitment ever could. 4. When you demand clarity before they're ready, avoidants don't do well with, what are we? Where is this going? What do you feel for me? Give me an answer, not because they don't care, but because they need safety before clarity. And when you ask these questions during their silent test, they interpret it as, this person wants access to my emotions before I trust them. Danger. 5. When you mirror their distance out of anger, this one hurts them the most. If they pull back, and you pull back harder, oh, you're dry? Watch me become Sahara Desert. They don't see it as self-respect. They see it as abandonment. And that's their core wound. So they instantly say, yup, they'll leave me. Better close the door first. It's twisted, I know. But that's exactly how avoidants think. 6. When you ask for reassurance too soon, avoidants suck at giving reassurance when they feel scared. They only open up when they think you're emotionally steady. So when you say, do you still like me? Am I annoying you? Are you bored of me? They don't hear insecurity. They hear, This person needs more than I can give, and their brain tags you as emotionally dangerous. 7. When you show too much intensity too quickly, listen. Avoidance like intensity, but in micro doses. If you suddenly get too emotional, too expressive, too vulnerable, too affectionate, they feel cornered, and cornered equals threatened. Threatened equals dangerous. Simple formula. Here's the bottom line. Avoidants don't decide you're dangerous because you're bad. They decide you're dangerous because you trigger the parts of them they've spent years hiding from: fear of intimacy, fear of expectations, fear of dependency, fear of being needed, fear of failing someone emotionally. When you unknowingly poke those fears, their brain shuts down. It's not rejection. It's self-protection. That's the moment they decide, I need distance before this gets out of control. Not because of who you are, but because of what you make them feel. And here's the crazy part. Most people fail this test without even knowing it existed. So, what do you think? Ever felt someone's energy shift like a switch? Like they were warm one day and cold the next? If yes, you're ready for next chapter. How to pass the silent test without losing your mind. Alright, here's the part nobody ever tells you. Because this isn't about games. It's about understanding how to navigate someone who's scared of their own feelings. And honestly, here's what I think. Passing the avoidance silent test is less about strategy and more about emotional posture. How you stand when they pull back. You won't believe how simple it looks from the outside, but how powerful it hits inside their mind. Let's break it down cleanly. 1. Don't chase. Don't panic. Just stay steady. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about proving you're not emotionally explosive. Avoidants aren't testing your love. They're testing your stability. If they go quiet and you stay normal, calm, unbothered, their brain goes, okay, I'm safe. They're not gonna overwhelm me. Avoidants melt for emotional steadiness. They feel protected by it. 2. Match their pace, not their distance. People make a huge mistake here. Matching their distance looks like abandonment. Matching their pace looks like respect. Example, they slow down texting. You slow down the same amount, not more. They take 5 hours. You take 5 to 6, not 48. It's subtle, but it matters. You're basically saying, I'm here, but I'm not rushing you. That's the sweet spot. 3. Keep the vibe light and safe. Avoidants panic when things feel heavy. So instead of, are you ignoring me? Why aren't you talking to me? What's wrong? Try something soft, light, normal, but still present. Hope your day's going all right. Or, no rush, just checking in. This tells them, I care, but I'm not demanding anything. Huge difference. 4. Give space without creating emotional distance. Here's the trick. Space doesn't mean coldness. Space doesn't mean shutting down. Space just means you're not pressuring them. So you keep your energy friendly, warm, consistent, without chasing. Avoidants respond to warmth way more than pressure. 5. Don't ask for emotional explanations during their freeze. You want to know what's going on? Fair, but timing matters. When they're overwhelmed, any emotional question feels like an interrogation. Avoidants process feelings silently first. That's their language. So you wait. Once they soften up again, that's when you can talk. 6. Be predictable in a good way. I know it sounds boring, but avoidants relax around consistency. Unpredictability feels like danger. Consistency feels like home. It's like saying, I'm not going anywhere, even if you act weird. That sentence alone can disarm their fear. 7. Don't take their distance personally. They notice that you want to pass their test. Here it is. If they distance and you don't act wounded or dramatic, they're impressed. Seriously, avoidants have been around people who guilt-tripped them, demanded attention, punished them for needing space, exploded emotionally, attached too fast. So when you handle their distance with maturity, they start thinking, Wait, maybe this person can actually handle me. That thought right there, that's when the ice cracks. 8. Keep your emotional independence visible. Avoidants need to know you have a life outside them. If they sense your whole world collapses when they step back, they run. But if they see that you're balanced, social, focused, grounded, they actually feel safer getting closer. Why? Because they won't be responsible for your entire emotional universe. And that's their biggest fear. The real secret. Passing the silent test isn't about pretending. It's about being someone who doesn't turn connection into pressure. Avoidants don't want cold people. They want safe people. People who say, I like you, but I don't need to consume you. That one vibe alone changes everything. The end game. Once you pass this test, avoidants warm up fast, their messages get softer, their tone gets gentler, they initiate more, they trust more, they open up in tiny, quiet doses, and eventually they stop testing you because you've proven the one thing they care about most. You're not dangerous, not to their peace, not to their independence, not to their heart. You're safe, and safe is rare for them.